Hey everyone, welcome to my lesson on Drumset technique. I'm going to be using matched grip for this lesson, but this also applies to the riding hand in traditional grip. The riding hand is the hand that plays riding patterns on the ride cymbal and the hi-hats and whatever else you may feel inspired to play riding patterns on. Everything in this lesson is based on what Freddie Gruber taught to some of the world's best drummers. Here are some of them in no particular order. Vinnie Colaiuta, the late great Neil Peart, Steve Smith, Dave Weckl, Adam Nussbaum, Peter Erskine, Daniel Glass, Bruce Becker, and Freddie's last student before he passed away on October 11th, 2011 was Paul Goldberg. No part of this lesson should be seen as saying that all other teachings are incorrect. This is not about being correct or right. It's not a matter of saying correct versus incorrect, right versus wrong. This is just a natural approach. It's the body's way of doing things naturally. And that doesn't mean that it's going to limit your ability to have power and speed. In fact, it's the opposite. You can have a greater potential power and speed. So, again, it's never ever see any of this as me saying that this lesson is the correct technique or anything like that. Let's stop being so concerned about, is this correct technique? Is this incorrect? How do I know if it's correct? How do I know if it's incorrect? Unless it's causing you pain and injury, it's really outside of that and blisters. It's really more of a matter of just choosing different ways to make the stick do. You can have a few different ways to make the stick move the same way, the same speed, mostly. Some things enable greater speed than others, but it's just a matter of making the stick move and getting the end result that you want. For this, well, there are some pretty good benefits. I listed the ones I could think of here. You don't get blisters. You don't get calluses. There's no pain. No injuries. It's less effort. The way that I worded it in this list is minimal effort. You get better sound out of each instrument in your kit. Each drum, each cymbal, each thing. You get a better sounding feel with the way that you play. A better feel to the way your playing sounds. I don't know how to put that to words quite without stumbling for some reason, but so your feel is better as well. You won't dent drum heads, which also results in your drums staying in tune longer. You won't break sticks before they really should break naturally, because they can't last forever. You won't crack or break your cymbals. I want to explain the sticks for a second. What I meant by that comment about not breaking them sooner than they really ought to. When you're playing your whole kit, you're playing your hi-hats and your crash cymbals and splashes if you have any, and other things you play with the shoulder. This area is going to wear down more and more and more. So of course you're going to have tiny little wood chips piling up on the floor, but it's going to get all chewed up, I guess you could say, by your cymbals and other percussion things if you have any, like a cowbell. And this will get thinner here. The taper will become less of a taper over time, and because it's thinnest here already, this is about where it should break naturally over time. If you do a lot of rim shots, you're going to get a rim shot, in case you're not sure what that is yet. It's when you play the head and the hoop at exactly the same time. Of course, I'm not going to demonstrate the sound here with this pad, but it gets a very different sound. It's louder. Depending on where you put the tip on the head at the same time, it changes and dictates the sound of your rim shot. But that causes, if you do that exclusively on every single hit, you're going to have a lot of damage here. You may have seen it. If you haven't yet, you will, where even in maybe not in your sticks, but maybe in photos or videos, where there's a lot of damage and on one kind of spot here, and it's all frayed around it, and that's, and the stick can break there too. But with this approach, your sticks won't break prematurely. So now I want to move past that finally, the list of benefits, and get into what Steve Smith said during the intro, during the intro of his DVD called Drumset Technique / History of the US Beat. Here it is, word for word. Good technique transcends style. Though certain techniques are better suited for some styles than others, the underlying principles are the same. A good technique allows you to play in a way where the drumming feels easy, sounds good, and you're not hurting yourself. Again, good technique transcends style. Though certain techniques are better suited for some styles than others, the underlying principles are the same. Meaning, there really isn't a genre-specific technique. Now you might be thinking, wait, what about traditional grip? That's for jazz, isn't it? Nope, it's not. I shook my head in case you couldn't tell my body moving. My head's out of the shot almost on purpose, but also out of limitations here. I wanted the wide shot, so that I had to choose. I was going to say with traditional grip, almost derailed the train of thought there. There are some phenomenal metal drummers using traditional grip. Now, these are drummers who aren't exactly well known. They're not guys that have made names for themselves for us drummers. In our minds. They're not like household names for us drummers. But there is one I can remember in particular. His name is Nick Pierce. He's on YouTube. His last name is spelled Pierce. Just look him up. Watch some of his videos. Then the next part of what he said, and the next part of what Steve said in the intro there is, a good technique allows you to play in a way where the drumming feels easy, sounds good, and you're not hurting yourself. These are the benefits that I have experienced with this approach. As I said, it feels easy, so I said less effort, or as I put it down in my list, minimal effort. It sounds good. I said better sound. But he's talking about the feel, the way it feels. More, you can feel it when someone's playing with this approach. It's a little bit different. And you're not hurting yourself. Like I said, no pain, no injuries, no blisters. Even callouses are kind of, well, they're not an injury, but yes, and some of you might be saying, well, what? Neil Peart had callouses. He even said so publicly. I know, but he got those before his lessons with Freddie Gruber in the in 1994 through to 1995. So, I'm sure, although I haven't seen him talking about it in any articles since then. I'm pretty sure he was on a path to, if he hadn't already experienced it, having callus-free hands, because with this approach, you're no longer maintaining any calluses that you already have from the more physical approach. That is not so natural, you know. Okay. I think, as Freddie Gruber might approve of me saying, because this was something he said almost verbatim, one of his things he said, it was, get out of your own way. Meaning, you know, kind of like step aside, just let the body do what it does. Don't stop making it do things it's not going to do naturally. There's no need to. So what I have in my list of topics that I'm letting guide me here, it says, let's get out of our own way. Step aside. Let the body do what it does. Let's do it. Let's get into this. First, if you're not sitting, sit. If you don't have a place to sit, that's cool. You know, just get relaxed. If you're standing, you know, don't be leaning forward too much on your feet or back too much on your feet or one to one side. You know, just get, if you're sitting, you know, just the same concept. Don't lean forward too much or back too much or to one side too much. You know, check the tension of your shoulders. You don't want any tension there. Have a nice, reasonably relaxed and comfortable posture. Doesn't have to be stiff. Just, you know, just so that you're not slouching or, you know, all slumped or in a pile. Ugh. You know, just be relaxed. I don't know what else to say about that. So, and also just keep breathing when you're playing, especially, you know. But right now, if you're not really finding yourself able to relax, just you know, kind of like, okay, all right, we're okay. You know, then just tell your body, hey, it's fine, we're safe. No need to be in fight or flight mode, panic mode, or whatever. No need to be anxious. Just relax, all right? And that's a trick you can use when you're playing. If you're finding difficulty being relaxed, just, or even smile. I know it may seem or feel ridiculous if you're by yourself, but smiling works. Or chewing bubble gum. When you're eating, think of it like if you're living in the wild and you're eating, it's because you're safe. You're not in panic mode or trying to escape from danger. You're not in fight or flight. You're safe and you're eating. You're in your vulnerable state because it's okay to be. You know that. And so when my favorite drummer, for a long time and still kind of is, but some other drummers have, in my mind, have kind of taken his place as my most favorite, but Carter Beauford of the Dave Matthews Band, he was my first really big, good influence. My first influence, I think, was Lars Ulrich of Metallica, but I was 13. It was 1993. But Carter chews bubblegum every time he plays. And it's not because he loves bubblegum. It's because he wants to get the benefits of chewing bubblegum. It helps you get relaxed. Because it's like you're eating. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about. Oh, also before I move on, breathing. If you hold your breath while you're doing any task, so let's say if it's a task that lasts 20 seconds, maybe 30. The longer you hold your breath while doing this task, whatever it may be, the faster and faster you're naturally going to be going in order to breathe again, because the body starts going into a panic mode, because it's kind of like being underwater. Excuse the distraction there. It's kind of like being underwater and you're trying to get to the surface to breathe again. You want to go as fast as you possibly can. And you won't take your time if you need to breathe like now. If you have plenty of air, you might be more relaxed. It's one of the reasons to inhale, to help you relax. Not just to breathe out, but to breathe in especially. It's like your body's going, oh, we're okay, we have air. We can breathe it. We're not underwater. We're fine. Which I need to do, I have to do that right now, actually. I'm on camera, so, you know, I'm got my anxieties. I'm human. Okay. Next, how you set up and how it matters, and here's why. Well, not here's why, but my topic name says how you set up matters and why. First, it's all basically going to be about making sure there's nothing about your setup that's going to fight you, that's going to make it difficult for you to use this natural approach. You shouldn't have anything that's going to cause hesitations in, based on the way you're set up. It's not going to make you uncomfortable. And one way to do that is to just do the following things. First, start your setup from a clean slate with nothing. If you have no space to move your stuff around, just maybe move your drum stool back a little bit. Just give yourself room to kind of think about starting over so that you can kind of readjust, bring things closer to you as you readjust. I don't know. I've always had a little bit more space so I can move stuff away and reasonably get it out of the area where I keep everything set up. So start with a drum stool and just relax, put your feet on the floor. Both of them, just relax about the same distance. Don't have one leg bent more than the other. Don't have your feet under your thighs from, a vertical perspective. It just be relaxed. Maybe the lower leg would be at an angle. So here's your thigh maybe, and it should be at an angle out a little bit. Play with it, just be comfortable. Shoulder width apart roughly. Get your drum stool, your seat height set so that your thighs naturally angle down a little bit. And this will be something you'll have to play with as you perform and play and operate based on the way you play the pedals. If you want to play only heel up, and heel up does not have to mean that your feet look like they're in high heel shoes. Heel up is just so you can see. This is like the heel of the foot, the toes, the lower leg, I guess. I can't get the exact same angle, but I'm gonna put a space under here. I'm keeping in that space. This heel up can just be heel hovering. It doesn't have to be all the way up. You can also keep your spring tension such that with this hovering thing, with a relaxed foot almost on the floor in a relaxed position, that the beater stays off the head when you're kind of at rest. And then you can do a stroke or something. I can't really quite do it with a hand, of course, it's a little bit different than a foot. But you can play with that kind of thing, that setup, and just experiment. It's always about experimentation with this instrument, getting it comfortable for you. But that would be heel up, and your seat height should be accommodating that, and you don't want to have your seat height where when you do heel up that your thigh goes up from the hips at all, or even becomes parallel, because even that for me borders on being uncomfortable. I know there's some amazing drummers who play heel up, or just their thighs are always parallel, level, and some of them angle up from the hips at rest. Just whatever works for you. But then if you're gonna, the next thing to say from there, after saying you should accommodate with the seat height for heel up, if that's all you're gonna play. If you're gonna include heel down for some of the stuff you're gonna work and play, excuse me, or if you're going to use the heel toe technique in combination with the heel up, both heel down and the heel up and the please forgive me, both heel down and the heel toe technique both kind of require a seat height that accommodates the comfort of having heel down playing, for doing heel down playing, which of course is the heel touching the floor or the heel plate, whichever, and just doing something similar to what my hand is doing. But you don't want to play everything that way. That's very limiting, and you can get hurt doing this too much. So you want to be able to switch between, if you're going to do any heel down at all, you want to be able to switch between heel down, heel up, maybe heel toe, and other stuff that changes your technique based on like the volume level you're going to be playing, the speed, whichever. So of course, if you're gonna be doing a style of music where you can do heel down all the time because it doesn't require much power at all, well then put your seat down a little bit to accommodate the comfort for that. Just play with your seat height. You'll feel it. Before I continue on to the next setup advice, I need to get this off my mind. It's making me uncomfortable and relax, and I'm unable to relax. I'm getting self-conscious. It's how my arms look. You may have wondered, and if you didn't, I apologize for making you listen to this. And if you don't care, it's like, well, I gotta explain it so that I can relax. It's from eczema. It causes itchy spots on the skin. I think there's one around here that you can't see. Some of them, they always show up as itchy spots that are just like mosquito bites. You can only feel them, but you can't see them really, unless you look at it from the side view, like a mosquito bite. And unlike a mosquito bite, where you can ignore a mosquito bite after you've been bitten for 5 or 10 minutes and it goes away, these can take hours to go away or days. So I usually have to scratch them until, of course, unfortunately, there's damage to the skin. And yeah, so anyway, please ignore the look of my arms and please don't judge, and forgive me for making you listen to that if you were going, well, whatever, it's just how his arms look, or maybe if you didn't notice, but I was getting a little nervous, having a hard time speaking. Kept going, oh shoot, they're seeing it. Oh shoot. So I want to stay focused, right? All right, the next piece of the setup advice is to get the snare drum into your kit. This is the next thing after the pedals. I almost forgot. After you get the feet where you want them to be, real comfortable, put the pedals exactly where your feet were. Match the angle of the natural V shape of your feet with your pedals. And you don't want one pedal closer to you than the other. They should be about exactly the same. Now, I like to have my foot all the way up on the footboard on the hi-hat pedal. So my hi-hat pedal is actually closer to me than the bass drum pedal by just a tiny bit. But I play the bass drum pedal, the front part of my foot, usually it's at around 2/3 or 2/3 the way up the pedal. I would say 75% of the pedal is covered by my foot. I was going to say my foot covers about 75% of the pedal, roughly. I mean, it's rough. So in reality, with the hi-hat pedal being a little bit closer to me by just a tiny bit, so that I can have the whole foot on the whole pedal covered by my foot and get the results that I want, they're actually, my both feet and both legs are bent at the same angle. Both feet are in the same distance away from me. But if I were to take a photo and show, it would look like one is a little bit closer to me. And it's not just about comfort for the legs and feet, but it's also about where the hi-hats are up here. So if you're right-handed, your hi-hats can be comfortable for both hands, instead of having it much too close to you, requiring you to have this uncomfortable hi-hat. It's like it's maybe your stance is too big, and your snare is here or something in between my sticks, and you're having to, if you want to do two hands, it's like, it's not quite, it's hard to explain. Once you have it set up, you'll understand. It's just kind of front. It's in front of you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to think about it. The less you have to think about, the easier it will be to express. your musical ideas, to finish that sentence better. Okay, now after the pedals, get the snare in. And the snare drum is very important to figure out. I find that it's like, for me anyway, it's the reference point, like in my mind, for where everything else is. Because if I close my eyes and do this, well, I know exactly what the snare is. So my eyes are closed. So therefore, I can kind of automatically play all the parts of my air drum kit. You know, it's kind of big, lots of stuff in it. You know, it's an air drum kit, it's imaginary. I can have whatever I want in it. A whole bunch of toms that are up here, and floor toms, next, kind of like Simon Phillips. But it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a reference point. And also, you want to get the location of the snare and the height to match your air drum kit. And one of the reasons you want to worry about the location of the snare, it's the distance from you, is so that when you're just relaxed with your upper arms hanging straight down from your shoulders, your sticks automatically go where you want them to go for the sound you prefer from most of your snare notes, for the most of your snare hits, or whatever you want to say. For me, I like mostly center. I don't have to think about it. And I'm holding the sticks about here. Not, because of course that's going to change. Let me exaggerate. I'm still relaxed. I'm not leaning forward too much or back too much. And here's what happens when you change your lean this way. Lean forward. I'm not changing anything. The surface is kind of grippy, but if I hover, it'll be easier to demonstrate. So yeah, you just want to have it so that most of the times that you're going to be playing the snare while you're completely relaxed, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry. You don't have to make sure that you hold forward a little bit to get where you want it to be, or back. It's just automatic, just like your air drum setup. And the height, same concept. When I air drum, I don't know about anyone else, but I always stop at what Dave Weckl calls the most powerful point of the stroke, which is what it is. He called it that in his Back to Basics video. The most powerful point of the stroke is where I'm stopping right now naturally. This is just me on my ride cymbal and the snare drum, or the hi-hats. The most powerful point of the stroke, cymbals, floor tom and snare. And then you let the hands have this droop for this. This is a very powerful place to start, because if you start with your hand like this, it's a much weaker place to start from. So let the hand hang down and droop when you're playing a little bit. I didn't change anything, by the way. I just stopped at my most powerful point where I imagined my snare drum to be in my air drum kit. Just put a stick in for this is American, I'll show this later. It's the most natural grip, most natural position. But as you can see, I've spent time already working on the height in relation to my body. Now, if this weren't an office chair, I could raise this even higher and get this office chair is at its maximum height. So in reality, what I should have done is should have put my drum stool in here, but it's not important enough. This is not a performance on a stage or anything. But my thigh angles should be angled down with this current snare height. Well, this no matter how high I'm sitting, no matter if I'm standing even, I want the drums to be about elbow height. I hope you can see. It's hard to tell, I think, that this is actually about. If I try to follow the flat plane, it's not easy. I need a longer drumstick. and I need something to tell me whether I'm still maintaining the flat plane, if I'm angling up or down. But if I put it on my elbow and try to just relax, if I point it at the side of this hoop, which is kind of pointed at the surface here through the black hoop there, it looks to me from this perspective that I'm at with, you know, my eyes here, it looks to me it's about the same angle as the whole pad. I'm pretty sure anyway. So yeah, your tom angles can do the same thing. Point the flat planes at your kind of the bottoms of your elbows, kind of. You just want to be like on the snare drum especially. You want to think just, you know, forearm angled up a bit from the elbow, so that you're at your most powerful point of your stroke. You're not past it. This is past the most powerful point with the arm. This is just at it, because if I try not to think too much and just do my air drum stuff, floor tom maybe, I'm kind of at the maximum limit of the floor of the powerful point. It feels like I'm just about past it. So this is definitely past the most powerful point. It's kind of like where the elbow is bent at a 90-degree angle, slightly, not that much, but like it's it's slightly favoring this direction more of a, oh man, it's been too long, I can't remember the term, but yes. Instead of you know, reaching down, it's more up from the elbow, just to keep it very simple. And the angle is such so that when your sticks, so that your sticks can have the full range of motion without you worrying about whether, now here I can't really get it to work because this setup I have here is not, I'll do it with just my right leg. Imagine this is with both sticks. I'm sorry. I wasn't really holding it on the right spot. But yes, I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. The setup matters, so that when you're using this approach, this natural approach with the hands and everything can just work with this, what you're going to learn here. Okay? This is so very important. It's taking a long time to get through this video, I know, but all this stuff is critical, so that your setup is not making it difficult for you to use what you're learning here. And then when you go to your toms, after you get the snare drum perfect for you, think about how you usually play, what you usually want to do. Now, let's see. Look at the height of the stick on the snare or the pad. So when I go from that height to when I go from this thing, the snare drum, to the toms, which I have 3 in front of me now, I used to have 2. I want the difference to be such where it's a natural place. I don't want to reach any more than that, because any lower, it's more of a reach, not by much, but it changes how much I'm bent. I'm closer to the most powerful point of my stroke here. Of course, now the most powerful point, well, that'd be like here. And you don't want your toms up. I mean, I suppose you could, but you know, that'd be kind of silly, right? And this is fine. Have them about this high where the tips are, and have the angles be that so that they don't fight the stick's natural angle, so that the angles of your tom or your drums, not just the toms but your drums, work with your natural stick angles, which is about, for me, it's about this. So that's about my tom angle. Just about like that. It's not like this. It's not sharp. It's just something like that. Check out Simon Phillips. His almost look too level. It almost looks like the flat planes of his drums are at his upper part of his stomach. It almost looks that way, but it's more like at his belly button or just beneath it, or the navel, whatever you want to call it. But So one of the reasons is not just so that it doesn't fight the natural angle of your sticks, but it you know, like I said, you know, you don't want this to happen. You don't want this angle. This is the drum head here, and the stick is, and this is the stick you're using to play. It's gonna hit like that. You're gonna dent. You're gonna have it's gonna be an uncomfortable rebound. It's just not gonna work too well. Too many bad things will happen, and it's about sound and the way it feels, and you're at risk of a wrist injury if you play frequently enough and hard enough too. But when you get as close as possible to matching the angle of the stick stick bounces back that way instead of like, you know, it's hard to explain with this with this little demonstration. You'd have to see it in slow motion. So I haven't seen that yet. I haven't sought out a video that demonstrates this if there is one in slow motion. But that's about, you know, there's a hoop on every drum, of course, so if I try to analyze that, yeah, so as close as you can get with your drum angles, so that you're not always hitting the hoop and you don't have a chance of hitting it, but you're coming close. You can even record yourself in slow motion with your phone to see just how close you come, you know, while you're playing, to touching the hoops accidentally. And you can keep adjusting until you're so close that it's like it almost looks like you're almost touching them. You know, like you are, but you're not. Then you're getting the best, you know, possible angle. Then the cymbals, same concept. You know, you want the cymbals in your sticks to have about the same, roughly as close to the same angle as possible. But of course, you don't want to have the stick. Here's the cymbal. Here's the stick you're playing with. You don't want the sticks to just completely slap the whole bow of the cymbal. The bow of the cymbal is from the edge of the bell to the edge of the cymbal. That's the bow, and or the bow. I've never cared to find that out. But anyway, here's the edge of the cymbal, and here's the angle of the cymbal. Generally, for my playing, my setup, you want to use the shoulder of your stick, and you want your angle to be about as parallel as you can get to the crash or the splash cymbal, whichever it may be, or yeah, either of those. You don't want it to be too sharp. Obviously, you wouldn't want to hit a cymbal like this, or like this, or like this. You want it to be somewhere in this area, somewhere in this angle, like, I don't know. And then when you play, you just want to, there's a little bit of not straight, if you can help it. And you definitely don't want to, of course, with this, what you're going to learn here in this lesson is going to make it so that cymbals are safe. So you're not a danger to your cymbals or yourself with your wrists and fingers and whatnot. So yeah, that's the setup. It's like, get everything as compact and as within reach. You don't want to be reaching for anything. Like I said, your bell should be about the only thing you really reach for on your ride, or if you're left-handed, because you want to put everything in places like your cymbals. You don't want them to be in your way. So then it's a experiment. Just experiment. But make sure it's comfortable. And matching your eardrum setup as close as possible. The heights and angles, locations, based on what you have in your kit. So let's look at how the hands work, how the wrists work, and how the fingers work. And I'm not going to get into it, but just observe. We all basically have the same, everything is just basically the same between everyone. You know, I mean, obviously outside of birth defects or like, you know, other problems, if you have like a whole bunch of skeletons in a photo or something, or in front of you, and they're all from different people, and you're analyzing like they are machines or something, you're trying to see if they all are designed to work basically the same way, you would find that they all basically have the same they all basically can move in the same manners. And we're talking about the body at the moment. I mean, because I'm moving the whole my arms and everything, but now I want to get to the body now, because it's just observe yourself and other people. Doesn't have to be musicians, but just observe how you and other people use the body, especially the hands and fingers, like the wrists and fingers. I should have said that way, wrists and fingers, because no one thinks about how to hold other things. But for some reason, when it comes to the drumsticks, something has happened where now there's way too much emphasis and importance placed on making sure that your grip and your technique is correct. That word, it's got to be correct. Don't want it to be incorrect. So now we got people learning who just started playing drums, and people who started recently and whatnot, and beginners now are just, it's a common question now. How do I know if my technique is correct? How can I make it correct? What's correct? What's incorrect? All this stuff. It's like this approach that's being taught here, what Freddie Gruber taught, he was teaching just how the body works, how to use it, so that it's working as efficiently as possible to get to follow the paths of least resistant, or I pronounced paths, sort of a different pronunciation than I used the first time. The more correct is paths, sort of. Anyway, but following the paths of least resistance, just so that Chris the Bucket Drummer on YouTube has a video on how to hold the sticks. He said, I'll even demonstrate with the sticks. He said, if you hand someone a pair of sticks who has never held drumsticks before, there's a good chance that most people will just hold them the way that's this natural way. They won't think about it. If they know nothing about drumming, if they've never heard anyone talking about correct technique and whatnot, how important that is, all that, they would probably hold it and look very much like this, and they'd probably say, oh, is this right? They wouldn't know. No one's going to try to hold it in a special way. And that's what this is about. This is not saying this is the correct way. Oh, nope. I know I said that correct versus incorrect discussion already, but can't say it enough, I think. But, yep. So, just watch. When you're watching TV and movies, observe how people, just keep paying attention. Observe yourself. Observe other people. In person, in TV shows, movies, commercials. Anytime you see a person and they're using their hands for something, check it out. See what they're doing. Especially if it's an object that's similar to a drumstick. Even a knife and a fork, eating utensils, anything. Holding something, which I have over here, objects over here to demonstrate. And I think I'm ready for that, but I would like to mention, actually I'm looking at my topics list. I've already covered what I thought I hadn't covered yet, so let's pretend I didn't say that. Let's say that I'm ready for this. Let's say this. So that was the last thing I said. Let's pretend that. I am ready for these things. This is my old iPhone 6S case. I had to have a different phone now. I have a different iPhone. But I kept it so I can put this is my little place where I put my new iPhone. It's just on my desk. Little place for it that's very grippy, so it doesn't slide on my desk when I have it plugged in, and it's cool. I love it. I'm glad I kept it. But I want to use this since my phone is being occupied by recording. This is going to be a very unprofessional moment. However, I must plug it in. Please forgive me. This won't take more than just a few moments. Please forgive me. Please. I am so sorry. Oh my. How in the world did I forget that? I don't want to run out of battery power. I probably came close to it. I have no idea. Again, I apologize. All right. So this is still on how the hands work, observing. And here's how I generally, here's how I generally hold my iPhone most of the time. You'll be seeing these things, these concepts with the hand. Index finger is just there. Mostly it's between the thumb and the middle and ring and pinky fingers. Big space in there. Sometimes I'm like this, sometimes I'm like this, sometimes I'm here, so I can use the index finger, but generally I'm not holding it with the index finger. I'm just like this. So, you know, pretend this is my phone and, you know, bring it up, or doing this. I'm a two-handed user, so I use my left hand every once in a while. But even my left hand holds it the same, generally the same way. Bigger objects. You'll understand. I probably should be mentioning these things after I talk about after I show how to hold the sticks and everything. But bigger objects, the strongest point of my grip on a bigger thing like a bottle or a cup or something or a jar is between the thumb and middle finger. The rest, the index finger is not really being used to hold this at all. It's just hanging out, just doing what it does. It's mostly between the thumb and the middle ring and pinky. And the thumb is around like that. It's not like that. That's not as comfortable. It is possible to hold it that way. I'm not going to drop it, but it's not as secure, not as comfortable. I'm not as relaxed. It's a bigger object, so I got to hold it more like that, with the thumb around it like that. Instead of like that, it's okay. In fact, now I can show with a smaller object, it's just a natural tendency to go into what I'll show after this next part. Let's find the most optimal balance point of your sticks. I know where it is on this stick model, but I'm going to pretend like I'm trying to find it so I can show you how it's done. If you don't have a pad, any bouncy surface will do. Even a hard tabletop will bounce just enough so you can do this test. If you don't have a bouncy surface, I will show you another way of doing it without a surface. Like, say if your only surfaces to hit are just not bouncy at all, somehow. But what you do, just put your. We all know it's not gonna. The optimal balance point is not gonna be where I'm holding it right now. So obviously we can just say, what's gonna happen if we do this? Just bring it up a little bit and just drop it. Okay, now move up a little bit. Bring it up a little bit, just drop it. So it bounces more. Just keep doing that. Keep moving. So don't be confused. This is not the optimal balance point. It is balancing perfectly, but the optimal balance point, as you probably saw, is back here, where it is. I'll compare again. An extreme comparison. And up here. And the point of this first is to find where you should put your fulcrum. And we're going to be using the middle finger fulcrum. That's the fulcrum for this natural approach. We'll get more into that. The other reason you want to use the optimal balance point of your stick is to just get the most help from the stick possible with the middle finger fulcrum. And before I teach how to do this, I'll show what happens. That's gonna be very beneficial to me, isn't it? It's gonna help me move with the least amount of effort to get it to come back up and ready to push it back down. It's gonna come up the most. if I hold way back here, where it's almost impossible to even use the stick to make it do anything, but if I hold on just enough, this is really ridiculous, extreme example, but I'm not gonna, I'm not getting much help at all. Even from way too high up, it's nothing really, doesn't really do anything for me either. In that position, it's the opposite. It's the opposite problem. But if I go back to where I'm most comfortable with this optimal balance point, I get the most. It's the easiest to make it do this thing, and also, the optimal balance. This lesson, everything you're learning depends on you using the optimal balance point and the middle finger fulcrum. Okay, so let's put the stick back down, or sticks. I'll put them in front of me here, so that I'm ready. So that I like looking at them when they're just. Anyway, I'm a perfectionist. Okay. All right, so I want to show how to hold the sticks quote unquote correctly as it pertains to what's being taught here. And see, there I used the word correctly, but it's within the, well, within this lesson. It's what, you know, it's what's correct for this lesson. I need to pull this, my computer's keyboard tray a little bit, because I'm going to be using my keyboard to help me page through my notes. I have a couple more pages. I have the text really large, so page number increased by 1 or 2. Don't be scared. I don't have like 20 pages or anything. Come on. Anyway, yes, I forgot to pull the keyboard tray out. I just kind of jumped into this. All right. On my topics, I said demonstrate the grip for larger objects. I kind of jumped ahead, didn't I? I already did that. Well, I do have a little remote here. I want to show this. You'll find some similarities between the way my thumb and index, this whole hand, the way the hand looks here, between the way I'm going to show how to hold the sticks. It's very interesting how the hands naturally do things and how they hold the sticks naturally. It's just, all this stuff is so interesting. It's time to put the stick or sticks in the hand. I'm going to use just my right hand for everything here, as much as I can, because I don't like using my left hand to demonstrate anything. It's not something to copy. Trust me, it's really not something you want to copy. I can do these things, but it's a lot of mental effort to make it feel okay. Doesn't look good though. I've seen it in my videos, my video rehearsals for this video lesson. Okay, now get the hand ready to hold the stick correctly. Sorry. Yes, put the stick down. I had it in my hand. So what you do is you shake all the tension out. Go palm up, continue shaking all the tension out. You're not going to use any wrist muscles, no finger muscles. Just let everything be natural. Let things just happen as they do. And then when your fingers aren't going to change at all anymore from shaking, when they're done settling and changing, just gently bring them toward, bring the middle ring and pinky fingers toward, for me it's the thumb muscle, until they gently touch. Maybe hold it there for a moment. I'll show you that it's just this open area. It's open, so I'm not squeezing or anything. I'm just gently closing. And with the palm still up, just let go. Oops. Let me just do that without doing that motion. So just gently touch the middle ring and pinky fingers to, for me, it's my thumb muscle. And just release, just let go. Just whatever words tell you to do it, so that you're not trying to move your fingers away from where they're touching. Just let them go. And if I move my index finger so that there's a space between the thumb and the index finger, this is the grip. So I'm going to put a stick in there. I'm going to keep it away from I'll show you. What I was. I'll just do this without talking. Okay, so now what I did is I made sure that I didn't change anything with my fingers. All 5 fingers are touching the stick equally. It's gentle, it's relaxed. The finger pads, which we drummers tend to call the fingertips, it's the easiest to understand because it's the you can't really use the fingertips. So when you're telling a drummer just use your fingertips only, the only thing you can do is, in order to keep the fingers holding the stick or helping you prevent the stick from dropping, is to put the finger pads on the stick, or sticks, in matched grip. And then it's just only, I mean, this is like, we can call it an exercise, but it's just a thing to, you can you can put another stick on top, and if you kind of position them to be parallel and on top of each other nice and perfectly, this should be possible if you're doing it the way that I'm trying to teach here. You should also be able to change nothing and just pull the stick out that you put in there, and you're still holding it, quote unquote, correctly as it pertains to this approach. Now it's a matter of what's correct and incorrect for this approach. And you can't see it, but I'm not using my index finger. It's just relaxed and just touching the stick naturally. It's just because I have an index finger. But I'm not using the index finger to help me hold on. And if I start doing this, I'm not using the index finger to help me move the stick or hold on or control it or anything. It's just loose, relaxed. The index finger is not in the equation, and that is very necessary for the middle finger fulcrum and for this whole approach, except for finger control and when you want to be able to easily choose just how quietly and gently you play without losing control. If I let the stick, if I take the index finger out of the equation and hold it the way I'm holding it here for very loose, if I hold the stick like this for this stuff, the weight of the stick and gravity and physics makes this a little bit more mentally challenging. It's more mental effort to try to get this, with my index finger in the equation, compared to this. Well, it's going to naturally get louder when I let go of the index finger because the weight of the stick is now being pulled down by gravity and the g-forces and all this physics. It's just working, it's making it more of a mental, making it more mentally difficult. It's more, I have to think about it more in order to keep it that quiet. It's also more difficult to control because then if I try to go faster, it's hard to keep it quiet. So if I include the index finger, it doesn't have to be tight. But if I include the index finger while keeping all 5 fingers on the stick, touching the stick, attached to the stick, whatever, it makes it easier to choose, and I can relax. Easier to choose the dynamic level and maintain control. And it's comparatively quite effortless compared to letting go of the index finger, and then it gets stiffer if I let go of the index finger, and it's like, oh no, this is too much to think about, too much mental, too much physical effort required to try to keep this under control so it doesn't get away from me and start getting too louder than I'm intending. So that's the exception. Those are the 2 exceptions: finger control and very gentle, quiet tapping, playing, whatever, without losing control. But otherwise, for everything in this natural approach, outside of those 2 exceptions, the index finger must never be intentionally used or included however you want to word it, in the grip or equation, or however it helps you to think about it. Just don't ever keep it off the stick. Just stay as relaxed and keep the index finger off. And just, before I do that, switch to the next page, make sure I'm not forgetting something. I am forgetting some things. I will show you why you don't want to take the index finger off when you play. After I show these things, first I want to show a couple of things before I get to the index finger being off the stick and why you don't want to do it. The importance of the middle, ring, and pinky fingers. They are a team. They help you for finger control, and they help you for helping you control the stick in American. They help you hang on. In let's see, this is more correct. German. Just everything you do. Double strokes. That's a double stroke exercise, kind of. I'm not good at double strokes. I'm not going to be teaching them. There are some amazing tutorials out there on YouTube, so they are free. Yeah. So these 3 fingers are critical. If you don't want to think of this whole 5 fingers on the stick at all times in that terminology with saying, well, I need to keep all 5 of my fingers in contact with the stick at all times, you can also make sure that you can make it a little bit easier on your mind by saying, all you got to do is just keep these 3 fingers on the stick at all times. Never release any of them from the stick. That's all you got to do, because you're never going to want to release, you're never ever going to naturally release the index finger or the thumb. You're never going to just do that or that or that. So if you just keep the middle, ring, and pinky fingers on, then you're going to guarantee that all 5 fingers are touching the stick and helping you move it and control it and hold on to it and everything. And dexterity is going to be there for you. So, and the pinky has the second largest muscle in the hand. The thumb has the largest. Now, I don't have strong muscles in my hand. Someone who does, though. I saw an interview done by some radio station with Mike Mangini. I don't remember, I could probably find it in my video history, but I could see his hands throughout most of the interview, and his hands have just these giant muscles for his pinky and thumb. And even each finger, all 3 of these little, they had these it looked kind of puffy, but they were muscles. Forgive me for saying it this way, but right here looked like butt cheeks. I'm sorry if it made you laugh. I'm not trying to. That was just how, it was like, oh my God, no wonder his hands are so, powerful, and just, wow, it just made more sense to me. It's like, oh, he has worked much harder than I thought on his hands. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, okay, I didn't know the hands could look like that. Unless maybe it's just the natural look of his hands. I don't know. Never seen anyone's hands look like that, though, that I can recall. So, yes, that's one of the reasons why you want to keep all of your fingers attached to the stick, and it especially applies to the pinky. I know there are some phenomenal world-class drummers who have made they're like household names for us drummers. Like Keith Carlock, I think he plays a lot with his pinky off, and Terry Bozzio, and or is it Bozzio? I've never heard his name pronounced. I think I'm pretty sure it's Bozzio. Anyway, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have anything to do with this discussion how to pronounce someone's name. But I know you probably have some favorite drummers who play with their pinky off, and it's difficult to avoid, but if you can get to a point where it's automatic, where the pinky always stays on, don't play from the don't do that too much. I've done that with my left hand when I was teaching it. I should still be trying to teach it, actually. But it's been almost, well, it's been a little over 20 years and still needs to be, it still has some work to do. But I discovered the importance of the pinky in my left hand one day many years ago, and then I thought, oh, well, that's the secret. So I kept doing that every day from the pinky. And after several days, it started to, there was some pain somewhere. I can't remember anymore where the pain was, but I went, well, back to the drawing board again. It was constant frustration after frustration teaching this thing how this was doing everything. And from almost day one, I want to tell you this right now since I'm thinking about it, almost since day one, my right hand and arm and everything was always correct, quote unquote, as it pertains to this natural approach. I don't know how. I didn't know anything about anything when I started playing, but almost since day one, when I learned all these things, it was mind-blowing. My jaw, like, I was like, my right hand is already doing all that stuff. You can't see my face, I know. My jaw was on the floor, and it was amazing because everything was already happening with this hand and arm. It was already doing everything I'm teaching here. My left hand had, well, it was everything from the elbow, no help from the wrist, no help from the fingers, just, it was ugly. I have a permanent elbow injury from that. That it's not a 24/7 pain. It's just sometimes when I do things that have resistance, like well, this office chair is on wheels, and sometimes I want to get up and I have my keyboard tray out. I want to get up, so I push myself away from the desktop, which is above the keyboard tray. And if I do it too much with my left, every once in a while, not every time, it might hurt a little bit, reminding me that it's a permanent injury. Or if I accidentally lean up against a wall too much, with too much on my weight, if I have the right angle, I can't quite remember the angle, it hurts. It's like, oh. So, yeah, please don't learn the hard way. Don't be forced into learning this stuff like I had to. Learn it now. Prevent your injuries. Prevent yourself from getting permanent injuries. I'm 42. I wish. Yep. Okay, well, anyway, moving forward. I'm getting close to why you don't want to take the index fingers off of the sticks and leave them off. That would be bad. Here's one step closer to that, explaining that. Okay, thumbs. The thumbs. Keep them centered. We get I'm not gonna use this to demonstrate. It's just I have to think about it. This is so automatic for me. So let's use this as the model. This almost perfect. A human being, so of course it won't be perfect, I know, flawless, but the thumb's centered on the stick. Sorry. Keep the thumbs, if you're in matched grip, then it would be thumbs, both thumbs, centered on the stick, which means not off the sides. That's all it means. Whether you're like this, not up here, down here. If you're American, not like that. If you're in French or Timpani, or I like to call it the finger control position. Not like that, or not like just centered. Right now, it pivoted to this position. That's all it did, pivoted. So, and I'll just give you a simple explanation or a demonstration for one of the reasons why. One of the reasons. I'm going to take the index finger, now we're there, I'm going to take the index finger off of the stick and intentionally keep it off. I'm going to stay relaxed. Everything else is going to remain in line with all the rules as it pertains to this approach that's being taught here. The index finger is the only thing breaking the rule. I'm going to just take one stroke. I'm going to do one stroke just like this. Just be relaxed, just like one stroke like that. The index finger off. It's an immediate train wreck. From this to this. This is possible to use for basic strokes, but it's a recipe for blisters in here, so sort of here where I felt the stick touching here. It restricts the stick's range of motion, which I'll talk about soon. well, I had the thumb centered on the stick for that when I was demonstrating the range of motion being restricted. But let me just, it just doesn't, you remember? I mean, look at this. Versus the train wreck, okay? I'll go back to the train wreck. I'm barely hanging on to the stick. I didn't change anything in order to grab the stick out of there. But I'm limited to just basic stuff. I can't go into many advanced movements with the stick. With this, I see a lot of drummers now holding the stick with their thumb on the side, off to the side, or on the side, kind of. Allowing the thumbs to just kind of do this. And it also kind of almost can result in holding it a little bit like that. You know, I mean, you can't. The thumb is going to help you for your dexterity, your control, the ability to relax, to remain comfortable, and to avoid this train wreck. Keep the thumb centered, with no exceptions. Yes. Here's another thing to demonstrate just how this is following the natural approach. If I do this, get it, everything following the rules that are being to follow the rules of this natural approach that you'll know by the end of the lesson for sure. But if I take the stick out and just relax, the thumb and the index finger are naturally going together. They're just naturally going together right there. If I push the thumb to the side and then relax, it can slide. It's not quite slippery right now. It's a little bit there's a small amount of moisture, but so it creates some friction. But if I shake and then just let it. That's where they go together right there. I'm not trying to make them go together in that spot on the index finger. It's just, that's the grip. I always got to get, no matter what, for some reason, I always got to make it so that my hand is holding it in the spot that I prefer to hold it. Even if I'm just demonstrating a simple hold for a couple seconds. I don't know what that is. Just keep doing that. Oh, it's going to be perfect. I can't demonstrate holding the stick correctly if I'm up here. Yeah. Well, I want to make sure that you're not going, oh, well, he held it up here, so maybe that's correct sometimes. No, I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that you see correct as far as this approach is concerned, as much as you can. So, yes, it's always going to be just what the hand does automatically. I'm ready to play, super gentle. Again, I can, without changing anything in my hand, there, I'm ready to go. I'm not holding it in a special way. This can't be repeated enough. I'm not using the index finger. It's just relaxed. It's just mostly thumb, middle, ring, and pinky fingers. It's mostly thumb, middle, ring, and pinky fingers. It's mostly thumb, middle, ring, and pinky fingers. When I'm going to operate this little remote, thumb and index finger, and these fingers, I mean, if I there's the stick grip. I didn't change anything. Okay, I'm ready to go. Okay, doesn't matter. I mean, I have other objects in my room I could probably demonstrate, but why? Who cares? I've already demonstrated enough, I think. Yeah. So there's that. Now, Here's the other thing I want to show that I kind of let you see already, but I didn't tell you really too much about it, is the stick's range of motion. And the index finger's lack of involvement allows the freedom, the stick's range of motion to be like, I mean, it just, I know, all 5 of my fingers are not on the stick right now, but of course it's not possible. It's like, hey, where's the stick? Hey, where is it? Hey, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, but so you will sometimes see my fingers get off a little bit during these demonstrations of the full range. It's not possible to get the fingers to all 5 fingers to be on the stick in those demonstrations of the stick's range of the range of motion. And so you can kind of see it's in the middle finger fulcrum. It's just got this swivel. It's like a pendulum swivel, or yeah. Trying to think of different ways to say that make it even clearer than so that I feel like it's as clear as possible, that you can see. And if you're having trouble getting comfortable with the middle finger fulcrum, I certainly did at first with the left hand. I still have trouble with it sometimes. But one thing that I kind of discovered while practicing these videos, wish I discovered this 20 years ago, it's just getting the ring and pinky fingers off. This is only to be done as an exercise to get comfortable with the middle finger fulcrum. Keep that in mind. This is only an exercise to get used to the middle finger fulcrum. Take your ring and pinky fingers off and just do everything you know how to do. Keep the index finger relaxed. Do not involve the index finger in the equation. Let the range of motion happen with your pinky and ring fingers off of the stick. And just do everything you can do. Don't play with other musicians or jam or anything like this. Just your solo practice sessions, or just spend a few minutes with it or something, or just whatever, so you can get comfortable with it. If you have to do this every day for a little bit, that's fine. If you have to do it for weeks, that's fine. If you have to do it for months, that's fine. Because I think I started teaching my left hand probably 20 years ago. I don't know, maybe 20 years ago to this year. I have no idea. I didn't write down the date that I started, but I'm generally okay. I don't get my elbow aggravated after I play, even if I'm doing a lot of hard, fast playing, which is what hurt it. So I was trying to do fast single stroke rolls with the left, watch the left and then compare it. I mean, I'm gonna try, because there's a lot of thought, there's a lot of mental work here, but I think it was like, well, I can't quite remember. It's like, well, to really think about that, it was just no help from here and no help from the fingers. And anyway, but it took a long time to get. At first, it was like, well, how in the world am I gonna only? I didn't know about getting the index finger out of the equation. I didn't know any of these things. It was just like, well, okay, well, I understand, because I started to pay attention and I went, oh yeah, my right hand does use the middle finger fulcrum. Okay, well, I feel it in my right hand. How can I teach my left hand the same feeling? Well, all I had to do, I guess, now I understand this, was use this as an exercise, which I guess starting now, I suppose, I should start doing this in my left hand, since my right hand does not need to be more comfortable with it. And now that I'm more aware, I can try to think in my mind, index finger out of the equation, because it's just, practicing these videos has kind of taught me a lot about how this works. Because now I'm trying to figure out ways of explaining it. Yeah, I don't have any one-on-one teaching experience, so when you feel like you're, when you feel like you're getting comfortable with the middle finger fulcrum, you can either wait until you feel like you're comfortable to put the ring and pinky fingers back on the sticks, or you can test yourself from time to time to see if, you know, just to test, to see if it's going to continue being nice and relaxed and comfortable and on the middle fingers. But I'll show what I'm showing. I'll show what I'm using here a little bit later. Sorry. I'll try to keep it to basic strokes right now. But, you know, keep the middle, or keep the ring and pinky fingers off of the sticks as an exercise to practice and get comfortable with the middle finger fulcrum. You can also use it, the fulcrum, that was not what I thought it sounded like. You can also use this as a physical exercise for the middle finger. I'm gonna pretend, here's a like the camera is sideways now. Here's a drum head. My hand is like a drum head. So I can kind of use the like finger control with just the middle finger. But I can use just air drumming to exercise it, but then I'm requiring a more grip between the thumb and index, so it's almost not much more work. Then I can go into different positions and just, from here it doesn't really work the muscle, but it really does with this. If I'm, you know, that's what makes the stick move when it's moving here. I'm not doing it from here. I'm trying to do it by pushing with the middle finger and just maintaining the motion, allowing it to go back and then pushing it. It's very smooth, kind of like, well, like when you bounce a basketball. It's just a continual, you allow the ball to come back up in your hand and you push it back down. It's graceful. This is just like how finger control works, except with just one finger. Finger control works with just all fingers as a team here, all three, middle, ring, and pinky. I'm not a master of it, so a little bit more of a do as I say, not as I do. I'm not quite as perfect as I wish it were, but I never was attracted to mastering it, so I kind of sometimes use it like for certain ride things, like when I'm doing simple patterns, and then maybe I'll do a couple of quick notes. I might utilize finger control to an extent, but yeah, it's not really a part of my playing like it is for some drummers. Neither is German. But I'm getting ahead of myself at the moment, talking about those things. Another exercise you can use that actually uses this is exercising, not an exercise, but another thing you should exercise is the wrist muscle. Not just for the middle finger fulcrum, of course, but for everything. And you can, without sticks, you can move your wrist. A lot of air drumming just with wrists. You can use what Jojo Mayer taught in his videos, secret weapons for the modern drummer. I haven't practiced this. I just understand how it works mechanically. A little bit higher up, you can't see it really, but I'm just keeping my arms together. The wrists are kind of somewhat held together too. I'm clapping in equally until they hit. I'm not like that at all. I'm just hopefully trying to get equal so that both wrists are being worked. But this isolates, and the goal is to go as long as you can, as fast as you can, to continue. I can't get it to be quite as loud as he did, because he's worked very hard on this. But it was also a funny looking thing. He was walking around the streets of New York City doing this exercise with it was really loud and really fast, with this look on his face. He looked like he was just like a madman, sitting on the subway, waiting for his stop, getting food. He had to put his hands aside and then he'd be fed, by hand. I think it was a street vendor. It was just pretty cool. But anyway, that's the exercise you can use for your wrists. You can do stuff like this. You can there are many things you can do without the sticks to exercise your hands. You can exercise your fingers. If you're very dexterous, if you have great dexterity, you can probably even do one finger at a time. But it's going to show what I would imagine. I've never done stuff like this, but just come up with things that exercise the muscles that you are becoming aware that you use. Now, you don't want to work toward building big, strong muscles, because large muscles are slower. They operate what it's attached to more slowly than a smaller, well-toned muscle, which is why runners are not big bodybuilder type people, or basketball players, or most athletes that require agility and speed. They don't look like bodybuilders. They're slender, and they're really well toned and really well. I mean, look at Bruce Lee. What more do I need to say after saying that? Okay, now I'm not one to talk. I'm not following those things. But anyway, I understand them. But okay, let's look at the three. I'm just looking at my notes again to make sure I don't continue yammering on here. Sorry about that. I apologize. Okay. Now, the American grip. The American grip can also be called the American position, in my opinion, because I don't see these as, well, I was going to put the sticks aside for this, but I see them as positions, not really as grips. I'll show you why when I'm all done showing all three, because there's American, German, and French / timpani. Well, that's still three. Sorry, that was natural for some reason, just because I said a different word. I like to call the timpani, the French, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, the finger control position. But the American starts from, it's the most natural, the most comfortable in my opinion, and to get started, just go to that relaxed thing, and you should have still been there. I wasn't, as you saw. I was starting to lean forward, like I said I was gonna probably do, and just I can't help it. Yeah, okay, so just let your arms hang straight down, relax from your shoulders, let your elbows just go where they go, just relaxed. Mine are just touching my side. Let your hands hang like this. Don't force them to be in any position. Just let them hang. And this, forearm hanging, angled up from the elbow slightly. Don't try. This is your most powerful point of your stroke. Remember, like when you're air drumming, just stop there and just let go of all the tension. Excuse me. I want to put the stick in my hand where I like the stick to be, the fulcrum, the most optimal balance point. I want to start there, so that I can just do this. Put the stick in the hand, boom, done. That's kind of fun, just to be able to say that. Like, okay, here, we're done. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate moving the stick until I'm done with showing the positions. Not sure, I just didn't want to do that yet. That's what I put in my notes, so let's stay true to my notes. Why not? It's my guide. And that's, oops, I moved the stick, didn't I? But hard to avoid. But that's the American position. I'm just hanging here. I'm just hanging, I'm not changing anything. I'm not forcing my hand to be in any certain orientation. I'm just sitting there. So that's the American position. Now, if I relax, stick naturally goes about middle on this pad. Keep the stick about in the same spot. Right now it's in the middle, but could be over here. We could do this, but I'm just going to keep it where it's natural for me. And go to German. Pretty much it. Something like that. It's a wrist-only position. You'll see. Still, following the rules. Index finger is not, it's relaxed. It's actually not touching the stick at the moment, but once I go to start moving it, it will have to touch the stick. But it's almost Yeah, now it's kind of now it's not touching the stick right now, but I'm not really a German grip or position master either. But so, but I kind of I get it. You know, you want the most powerful point. You don't want to be starting from this weaker position. You want to let this happen so it's curved, just grouped and starting from a strong position, so that you have the range. Or, but I said I wasn't going to move the sticks, so then go from here. This is a grippy surface, so I didn't have to hold the stick in one spot, but I will. So then go to the finger control position. The French or grip timpani, and elbow out a bit, and you'll see why. I'm going to start here, so for the section that begins moving the sticks, because I want to show why you want the elbow out, you want the fingers under the stick, thumb still on top, centered. Just let me see, it pivots, and now we're going to start moving the stick. I want to show what you can do, and I want to recommend doing it. Find very slowly what it takes with your stick not rubbing against your body here. I may be a little closer than I thought. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's just where I'm holding the stick at the moment. Maybe I'm holding further up than I usually do. Well, okay, I'll just let it be up there then. That's cool. All right, so slowly go straight. Find what's required with the hands mechanics to make it go straight up and down. I'm not, my muscles are not well developed for this technique, so it might waver a little bit, but it's not going that way or that way. Try to get it go perfectly straight until you get comfortable, and then keep moving faster and faster until you get to this point. I'm jumping ahead to this point, and it's only fingers, sort of think kind of like that. Just the middle ring and pinky as a team. I'm not squeezing between the thumb and index. I'm just letting my index finger help. Because I can also do this with just the index finger. In fact, this is also reminding me of an exercise. I'm not going to try to do it, but you get to a very high. You can get to a pretty good speed when you get the muscles developed over time. You know, it's going to take some days and weeks to develop it. But the idea is to make it go straight, not all this flopping around stuff, but to show the range of motion and to exercise and to get it to a very good speed. I'm not going to try to do that right now, because look up, who was I seeing demonstrate this? Oh, it's in a video you would have to purchase. Never mind. Save that for some other day to tell you about it. This is intended to be, just to get through it. Let's just get through it. Well, it's a video by someone who goes by the name J. Scott Drummer. Drumset. Drum is one word, set as one word, technique, or hand technique. So it's Drumset, hand technique, not Drumset, one word, hand technique. You can look it up. It's $12. I recommend it, actually. No, I didn't think I was going to do that, but there you go. Yes, check that video out. Wow. Great video. Anyway, only fingers, straight up and down if you can. You can also practice what you can use this to work on doing, not that, this, between two surfaces. See how it's the same? So it's the same as when you go to the other surface. That way you're not doing this. It's just this. Bump, 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 bump. I can't even make the sound at the same time right now, but can see it. I don't need to make sounds. What's wrong with me? But yeah, anyway, so you can practice this. It's like, as he calls it, like a backhand. This is J. Scott Drummer's Justin Scott exercise that he recommends to kind of. So this is not finger control. This is. I'm pushing the stick that way with the 3 fingers, with a little bit of help from the index finger. That's finger control. Finger control, you don't do it with the palm down. This is, I've seen people, more than one person, I've seen this over the past several months. A few different people have shown this, and I don't know if it's something I ever do. I think I do, because this is something I can do, and I think I must have done this. But I'm using only fingers. It's not quite like this. The fingers are even more angled underneath the stick. Only what I've seen is some people actually doing like this. That's more work than this. My palm isn't exactly sideways here. See, it's more in an American position angle. But to me, this feels like something I've probably for my ride cymbal, and maybe like around the kit work. But I remember watching someone doing a blast beat, and I'm not interested in blast beats, so I haven't seen much on that. But I remember watching one in particular because I wanted to see. He was incredible. He was at like the next level. And there's 3 words for that expression, but I'm not going to use any profanity in this video. But the next, you know what, ing level. And this guy was so good, I had to watch to see how he was getting stuff to happen with such little effort. And if I remember during this blast beat, his left hand was doing, I'm not going to use my left hand for this, like, it looked something like this with this, again, the fingers angled underneath the stick, not more straight like this, but it was like, and his hand was just, it was like twice as fast as this. It was crazy. And he was just, it was nothing for him, effortless. He was doing some stuff, it was just, his face was like, this is nothing. Cool, I'm hanging out, just relaxed, breathing easily. Like, I gotta figure that out, because, you know, every little thing you can learn will help you. I'm not going to play blast beats, but I want to learn that, what he was doing, you know, I want to figure that out. So, but I'm thinking, you know what, I think I do this already, to an extent. Anyway, let's start moving the stick in American grip. So, go back to American grip, position, do the same thing, slowly analyze what's required to move the stick up and down. And again, I'm not using the index finger to help me pick up the stick or hold it. Just analyzing what's required, because if I do this, and that feels different, oops. So I just want to watch the stick, and I go, okay. I can just go, okay, I think I get it, especially if it's my first day. Or if I'm completely starting over. And maybe I've never done this before. Let's say I've never done this before, and I've been playing for a long time. Well, I would have to, you know, if I'm having to change everything to start over. If I remember right, I read that that's what Neil Peart had to do. He felt like he was starting over, he said, I think. Then eventually you can speed it up and get it louder and louder. And this is just like bouncing a basketball. And so is this. Just a very different, because I'm pushing the stick up here so that this part goes down, and as it bounces, I'm allowing the stick to go back by just following it back with my fingers, and it's almost pushing my fingers that way. And this is almost pushing my hand up, but I'm actually just following it, just like when bouncing a basketball, and when it touches the hand, I can follow back up and push it back down and have a graceful bounce. It's continual. I'm not picking it back up or pulling it back up or anything. All I'm doing is just pushing it down. And then from here, do the same thing with German. I have to carefully. Okay. I have to make sure. I'm still not quite sure exactly what's correct, so I'm just going to try to analyze this. But you can find videos on these three on how to do this more correctly than I'm showing. What I'm trying to show is just a natural approach, and it mostly comes from the American position, for me anyway. Yeah, it sounded like I said American positions, but I was going to say a different word and put an S sound in there somewhere, and it's like, okay. So yeah, a lot of what I'm teaching is just a natural approach, and it kind of comes just from this American position, or grip, if you want to call it that. That's cool, because I'm on the hi-hats right now, and like the right cymbal is kind of almost a hybrid position between the French and American, especially the further to the right I go, and then when I'm on my furthest right, it kind of makes me tend to just do thumb up without really much finger control. Sometimes maybe stuff over here, and then it's like the further and further and further in front of me I get, the further and further in front of me I get, the easier it is to just let the hand be in this like a 45-degree angle. And that's the key. It's allowing the hand to do, just allowing everything to happen naturally. So I'm not forcing it to stay in one position. I'm just releasing and letting it do. Whoops, that's how loose this is. Air drumming, like I can drop it, even while playing. And for that reason, I have a bunch of sticks in a tube made by ProMark. In my setup, so that if I drop a stick, which I will sometimes do, grab another one, provided the stick didn't drop and start interfering with one of my pedals. That's happened before. That's always interesting, especially on stage during a song. Anyway, so I don't know if I'm doing this correctly, but I think I am. It's got to be wrist only, but demonstrated without words there, no index finger. So I'm trying to get it to go straight up and down. So now let's get away from that. I don't want to demonstrate and teach something you may notice. How I've seen this asked before. Why does the stick spin in the hand? How can I make it stop? I've seen that question. Is this okay? Is this normal? Yeah, it is actually. If your stick is spinning, it's a sign that you're holding loosely. I don't know why it spins. I've never cared to find out. But it just does. If I include the index finger, you can probably see on this. It's going to stop spinning if I play this at this angle. It might spin a little bit. But I think if you carefully watch the logo, you can see it go, there we go, you can see it go round and around and around. If I include the index finger, can you see it? Okay, there's the logo there. If I just include the index finger a little bit, something I forgot to mention. It was involving the range of motion. This is going to make chaptering this video a little bit more difficult. Shoot. I remember telling you, don't hold the stick up into the hand. It limits the range of motion. This is the range of motion possible. The stick out of the hand. But if you put the stick up in the hand, you can relax. You can have the thumb centered on the stick. the index fingers relax here. There's no bounce back up, and it also, if you watch this, it won't. I'm barely holding on. It's sort of spinning a little bit. I don't know if I can get the logo to be seen. There we go. I'll try to be relaxed. See if it starts spinning. It maybe will. It's more relaxed than when I include the index finger. There we go. It's starting to spin a little bit. It kind of stops and it starts spinning the other direction. It's very different from trying to follow all the rules of this approach. It even sounds different versus so I'm gonna have to remember when I'm chaptering this. Yes, of course. And okay, when I was demonstrating the stick spin, I finally remembered to tell you why you don't want to have the stick up into the hand, other than the fact that it's going to give you blisters, and you know it does. Yes, I think I said before, it does restrict the stick's swivel and range of motion, and you can't get the so that's part of the reason why you want to make sure. Whoops. Do this correctly, so to speak. Okay. Why you want to check in. You should check in once in a while, actually, on this. If you think things are not feeling right. If you're going, well, it's not as easy for me as it is for him in this video. Check in. And, oops, my fingers were drooping down a little bit there. Thinking about things too much. Okay. Okay. All right. Sometimes I might do that to make sure I'm not doing something wrong. Let's talk about the Moeller Technique. First, let's do the motion. I'll show you the motion anyway. The perfectionist in me wanted that stick to... Oh, sorry about that distraction here. Okay, get relaxed. Get the tension out. I have tension. Keeps building up. I don't know. It's just the way I am. Okay, I'm trying to think of the easiest way. Here we go. That's like a slow motion version to show you. Whoops. To show you. I said whoops because I started holding the arm forward like this compared to this. It's just a flow. I'm gonna kind of go into a German location where the hand. It's like handlebars. Sort of. German is like. Okay, I said handlebars, so I may as well explain what I mean. Sometimes it feels like I'm holding handlebars on a bike or something. So you can see where my hand is. Okay. It's a whip motion. And if you've ever whipped anything, like a whip or a chain or a rope or an article of clothing, you take it out of the dryer or a towel, and you shake it, you whip it, it has a wave that flows to the end. It's the same thing. It's just you start it somewhere. It's sort of like what I do when I'm shaking water off my hand. Now in the practice videos I've done, it's been difficult for me to see what's going on. So maybe I thought about doing this from the sides. Let me just see, and I hope that when I watch this, it looks the way I want it to. Get it more. Okay, right about now, I think it's about right. I'm trying to avoid using the muscles in my wrist right now, so I can show you that even this just makes the hand. As long as I'm, holding the stick so it doesn't drop, I can get something out of this. And I can get really big exaggerations from the shoulder. And it's just I'm trying to make it flow better. It's not really practiced in demonstrating without a stick. I'm just used to just using it with, so it's kind of difficult for me to do it without a stick. But I'm trying to demonstrate it so that you can get the idea of how to get the flow, the motion going. And then just, I think it might be best just to start in American, but whatever you're most comfortable. And then just get this going. And just sometimes just do, oops, try to avoid interrupting the flow like I did. I missed a note or a hit. So I'm going to try to do the whip without doing that. I'm not doing that with my wrist. It's just, I'm just making sure the stick doesn't fly out of my hand. That's a whip and then a bounce. You can use the wrist if you want to strengthen the hit. And this is also another time to repeat the importance of not using the index finger in the equation. Keep it out of the equation. Don't use it to help you hold on or control the stick. Don't let it help you hold on to or control the sticks or stick if you're doing with just one hand and you got the traditional grip doing the other hand differently. All right, so yeah, riding hand, remember? So anyway, so without the index finger, I'm getting the benefits of the Moeller technique, where there are more benefits to discuss, but it's like half the work. If I include the index finger, I have to do every single note. I have to do the whole dot dot dot. I have to do everything. Whoops! I can't even get. I can fake the motion. It hit my leg on that transition. I can make the motion look right. I can even try to make my index finger look like it's relaxed. But I'm having to do by including the index finger and just holding a little tighter maybe. See, I'm missing the pad. It's a lot of work, especially at a higher speed. Imagine trying to do the Moeller technique incorrectly like this, with the index finger included, that is. And you're trying to play the hi-hats or just something fast. It's a lot of work. Eventually, you might have pain, or it's going to be just a lot of fatigue. A lot of fatigue will occur if you include the index finger when trying to go, especially trying to keep something fast going. But if you get the index finger out of the equation, let it relax, keep all your fingers on the sticks, but just stay relaxed, let the swivel work for you. Let the Moeller technique give you this stroke that doesn't cost very much from your energy. It doesn't take much. All I'm really doing is it's like a downstroke and then a little one in between. It's like I'm just doing this. I'm not making the stick move, it's just swiveling as I'm moving. It's moving naturally by itself because of physics, gravity and stuff. So there's that making it tap in between too. It's sort of the swivel making it tap at the same time. It's difficult to explain. But as you can see, the stick is, I don't know if you can see that, the stick is already, it's spinning, it's rotating. Even with this. If someone out there has enough physics understanding of physics, maybe they can tell me what's going on. You know, find me on Reddit. Leave me a leave me a direct message. I don't know. I don't care. I just want to play. So anyway, I feel like I could do this all day. Because it's just... That's what it kind of feels like. It was like... Down, 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 down. Stroke, 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 or note, 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 note. What words can I use? It's all I'm thinking about is that down stroke, the whip. And I'm somehow the in-between notes, in between the whips they almost feel automatic. Partly because I'm keeping this bounce feeling. It's almost like a continual bounce feeling. But then when the whip happens, it's like that one is, it's like it's effortless, it's free. It's like it doesn't cost anything. It does, but it doesn't. It's, I don't know how to put this to words so that I feel like I've clearly and completely explained it. But, okay. So if you want to learn, you can use triplets. I'm not practiced in doing this exercise, but the idea is, but I think another way to do it is just like this, like I showed before. Get the continual bounce going, and then sometimes do a whip and see if that sometimes do it and then see what it feels like, and then just maybe make more and then more and then more until you're maybe at this point where you're just continually doing a whip. Or you can sometimes do this. Of course, I sped up right before the whip, but I'm thinking about this stuff too much. I haven't practiced this little exercise that I think you can probably do at all, but it's an idea I just had earlier. I thought maybe I should show this. This might work. It's like getting ready for the whip and then you finally do it. Or just, when you think you're ready, get one in there. Or slow down. And when you think you're ready, just get one in there. Oh. Maybe bob your head to a beat. Bop, bop, dop, dop, bop, bop, bop. See how many in a row you can get. This is getting a bunch in a row. It's about the whip. You can also just, of course, just do this. Try to avoid breaking any of the so-called rules as it applies to this natural approach. Never grab with the index finger. I'm stopping the swivel on purpose. Sort of a thing I sort of naturally developed over the years, I think. It's just kind of hits the middle. It hits the index, and there's no chance of a blister, but it just kind of comes up, and the index finger sort of, its existence kind of stops the stick. I'm allowing it for the purpose of demonstrating how much, but this surface is very bouncy. Oops, hit my leg. There we go. Did you hear that? That's awesome. This is an exercise I haven't really practiced much, but I understand how it works. That's why I'm demonstrating it to you a little bit more and more. I'm like, oh, I'm getting better and better at it. But you can get much better at this than I am. This exercise, which I think, according to Dave Weckel and other teachers, Steve Smith, I think too. I think he shows this as well. I'm not sure. I can't remember anymore, but it help the better you get at this exercise. I think it also helps cement the idea that you want to. There we go. That you want to. I was up in the hand a little bit too much. That's why I said, oh, there we go. I moved it back down. Just cements the idea, I suppose, of this huge loose range of motion. Is just, and then you use that for the Moeller technique. Without touching, just air drum it. I'm stopping with the butt of the stick is just hitting my hand and stopping. I'll show you this too. Another demonstration of the difference between allowing this swivel on the middle finger fulcrum and not using the middle finger fulcrum by including the index finger, like that. If I did this air drumming stuff with just the index finger inclusion, never allowing the swivel in the middle finger fulcrum, the stick feels much heavier. I'm having to do the entire motion. I'm having to think back and forth. It's just a lot more work. I can't think of any other things to say about it. So I'll just show you the difference. Index finger is included. I'm not squeezing a lot. It's just there. I'm just letting it help me. I'm making it help me hold on to the stick. And then if I so it's a lot less work. My hand doesn't have to move as much. The stick moves. It's moving about the same amount because I'm trying to make sure it's still doing the same thing. So it's just a different way of making the stick do the same thing. It's kind of what this lesson is all about. Really, I probably could have called this lesson the middle finger fulcrum lesson or something like that. I don't know. But it's a natural thing. My right hand's been doing this since about day one. My left hand, again, as one expression goes, forget about it. Like, no way, it's not going to happen naturally. I think I'm always going to have to think about it for my left hand. And the more you work the wrist muscle, the faster and stronger you can get with this. When I try to go at my maximum speed with the Moeller technique and go for a long period of time, I do feel that in order to keep going past a certain point, there is a point where I'll start feeling that I need to have more strength and endurance in my wrist muscle. So, okay, you gotta exercise. You gotta gotta develop your muscles and be even stronger. So, I can do it for short periods of time. Make sure I follow all the rules. Sort of pushed past my limit there a little bit. Let me try to go like a hi-hat angle simulation on the pad here. That's more more comfortable going fast with my Moeller technique in my right hand in this angle, because these muscles that make all the groups that are together to do this are a little bit more developed than the ones for this. So, slouching a little bit. See, when you slouch, your shoulders go up and down. Everything moves up and down when you slouch. I'm not moving my arm up and down. It's one of the reasons why you want good posture. I wish I had mentioned that during that section. But anyway, many things to pay attention to. Whew. It's one of the bad things about this instrument is you really gotta pay attention to a lot of stuff that you probably have never paid attention to before. To me, it looks pretty stiff, but it feels easier than I think it sounds, and it feels looser than I think it looks. But it's not. I don't know. It's not making me feel like, if I include the index finger. Oh my. Yeah, this is a lot more work. I can't keep it. Nope, I'm done. Whew. I really felt a lot of fatigue building up very quickly. It wouldn't be like pain. It would just be like, well, I could probably get that much stronger over time by doing that every day. If that was the feeling I was getting in my whole forearm, was like, ooh, I could work those muscles and make them stronger, but I don't need them for this. I can do this all day. I'm probably gonna watch this and think it looks like a mess, but because like I said, it looks stiff to me. It doesn't look like it doesn't look as easy as it feels to me, and it's looser than it looks in reality. I don't know. Maybe it's normal. I haven't really studied anyone who's going like this. Because most of the drummers I watch who use they all use the Moeller technique, but they don't really need to go that fast with any. I was trying to show that if you got something you're playing that kind of requires something on the hi-hats or the ride cymbal, or just both hands using the Moeller technique, you can get some power and speed that way. Something to think about. I see that question a lot. I mean, how can I get my hand to go my stick to go quickly, play fast 16ths or 8th notes on the hi-hats? Well, it's the Moeller technique. So, what's left on my notes here? It just feels too good. It's hard to stop. Like I said, I could just do that all day. But yeah, it's like bouncing a basketball. I remember when I was bouncing a basketball, I was still playing recreational basketball, just for fun. Never did it seriously. Never went and joined a team or anything. But I kind of remember doing something that reminded me of playing the drums one day. I was going, hey, that's similar. It was a little bit similar to the Moeller, but not really. But I was like, boom, boom, doo, 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 doo. I was like bouncing fast to kind of run around. I don't quite remember. It's been a long time, but there's a similarity, and there are all these things that we do with our bodies. It's crazy. Pay attention, you'll see these things as time goes on. But yeah, I was in my notes. It says keep breathing. I said the Moeller technique for playing hi-hats and ride, on the ride cymbal, and then sub notes. Keep breathing. Yeah, I can't repeat that enough. Especially for this, because it's this so relaxed. If I start holding my breath, let's just see what happens. I'll get it going, and then when I think it's gonna be, let's see. Okay, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna hold my breath right now. No, I'm thinking about it way too much. I'm not playing enough. I'm not doing enough stuff. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe it's a bad demonstration. But I think I can definitely think back to times where I know I sped up because I was holding my breath. So it's when there's more stuff going on, I think. That's when it happens. Plus, I was way too focused on the sound and I was trying to keep it even. So, but it will happen. If you hold your breath, you'll speed up and things will be more difficult and you'll tense up maybe, and it's just not good when you don't keep breathing. But yeah, again, keep the index finger relaxed. Index fingers, I put that in my sub bullet point. But yes, with the next thing, it says timekeeping is built in. It's just like walking. We don't think about keeping time while we're walking, but time can be steady while we're walking if we're just maintaining the same motions, the same movements and whatnot to keep the same speed. It's just... Whoops. I was trying to catch up to my clock. I'm watching it for the second hand, or the seconds, it's a digital, for 120 beats per minute. 2 beats for every second. I might have to adjust a little bit here to make it perfect. Whoops, slow down. Thinking about it too much is causing me to get out of time, but I've also haven't played music in a very long time, so this is sort of a feels like a musical thing, so I'm kind of a little rusty on that too, and plus I'm on camera and I'm on the spot. Still on time. I had my eyes closed for a little while there. I kept time with it. I had to close my eyes for probably 10 seconds and it was still perfectly in time. I just let go and I tried to let go of my inhibitions and tried to just go into my zone. And I love that. It's like a little pat on the back. It's like, okay, I'm still in time. Great. Yeah, I suppose that could be a trick, but it's only 60 beats per minute or 120 or it's always, seconds. It's one each second is you can't change the speed of that, so it's not a good way to practice your timekeeping. Like, close your eyes and then look back again and go, am I still in time with it? Okay, close your eyes, look back at it, am I still in time with it? You can do that with a metronome to an extent, I suppose, but if it's just one you can have only blinking or maybe something visual. But anyway, yes, timekeeping is built in. Anyway, and so are accents. Oh, missed one for some... Oh, legs in the way. And accents are just louder notes than the rest. Or... And then I'm getting into simple musical phrases. Well, I forced that one. Let this go for a second. Ah! I'm forcing too much of it. Simple musical phrases can be created in so many more than that, so much more than that. And so I could go from this to more musical discussions, but I'm trying to stay focused on the technique aspect as it applies to this natural approach of how to hold the stick, how to make it move, how to stay natural, safe, so that everything is just natural. So I want to talk again, since I mentioned that, and it's going right to my next note there. I'm saying to myself here in this note, demonstrate how this natural approach, I have different words there than that, but how it will prevent blisters and calluses, how it's not possible to get them. So I'm going to go back to this hi-hat thing. This is pretty low for hi-hat demonstration, but it's going to use the muscles for me to really, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it going so that it feels like it's all perfectly correct according to the rules of this lesson. And then I'm going to stop and try to hold exactly where the stick was without changing anything, and then show you, and then ask you, where do you think blisters will form? Because to me, I feel no risk of blisters or calluses, even with this. Maybe it should be higher. No, it moved. Sorry. Please forgive me for a second. Just hang on. Okay. It's about, hasn't changed much from anything else. So it's still, I can still do this. My hands are getting a little sweaty, so these are a little more grip here. But that's still happening. I haven't changed anything with my hand. I wasn't holding with my index finger. Oops, put it back to where it was here. Everything's still, everything's just loose and relaxed. There's no potential, there's no location that I can feel or think of here by looking at it where a blister would form with all that motion. It's only touching here, here, and here. There's a little bit of friction here, barely any. No friction here, barely any friction here. It's like the stick is just, it's like I'm just holding just enough so that it doesn't fall. Even while moving the stick that quickly, let's say if it were actually possible to suddenly stop and at the exact same moment have someone grab the stick out of my hand. It would be possible because the hand is so loose. It's holding so gently and loose. If something were to interfere, that would be pretty loud if I did that. If you're wearing headphones, I wouldn't want you to, I could tell you to turn the volume down, but I've had it happen though, while I'm playing and trying to go really fast, and if I accidentally lose focus and my aim gets bad and the stick hits something, well, it just comes right out of my hand. It's just so loose. There's nowhere a blister is going to form or a callus. I've been doing stuff like that for, well, a few months ago, actually. It's kind of a little bit of a story of why I own this pad and these sticks. But I'll just tell the story as quickly as I can here. I thought I was going to get very serious, finally, with rudiments. So, bought a different pad, a better pad than I had before. And I've always wanted to try these. These are Dave Weckle's Evolution sticks. And I've always wanted to try these because these are specifically designed based on Freddie Gruber's teachings that he taught to Dave Weckle, and these are designed to work with this approach. And indeed, they do, by the way, exceptionally well. But I spent a few weeks working extremely hard for nearly every day for around, it was pretty ridiculously extreme. It was like 12 hours. A couple of days went a little longer than that. The only breaks I took was for water, a sip of water here and there, maybe a bottle, and then bathroom breaks. Because, I'm drinking water. But I was doing, not this, but I was doing, like, just hard, like, not with a bouncy surface. I have, well, it's too far to reach now, but it's a thing that goes on top of here. It's a surface that this company calls I don't remember what they call it, but it's a less bouncy. It's the exact same stuff. It's the exact same stuff that basic mouse pads are made out of. It's the same thing, same cloth top, same rubber thing, and it's exactly the same. I have a standard mouse pad, same exact stuff, bounces exactly the same way when I put my mouse pad on top of this thing, and it has less bounce, less rebound. So I was really working really hard. Like, I never did easy stuff. I was really pushing I was trying to develop the muscles there. I finally figured out how to say what I was doing that whole 2 or 3 week period or whatever it was. Every day I was trying to push my muscles. I was trying to develop them and get the things going, and also trying to work get my brain to get the coordination for the rudiments in the paradiddles and other things, and the double stroke roll. Never had a blister at all, not one. I was doing it barehanded. I like to wear gloves when I'm performing or practicing my drums. I use the Tama white gloves, and they have the most grip that I've ever experienced out of any gloves. Anyway. But I was doing it barehanded because, I don't know, it just was. And never had any blisters or any potential blisters, nothing. It was just... But it was the reason why I didn't keep going was I don't know what words to use to describe the problem. That this is a typical problem for me. It's like I have a hard time keeping myself going on something like that. It was fun, but it was like it was a lot of, I got to a point where it was a lot of preparation to get ready to practice. I had to kind of change my room setup sort of because I have no space here, so I had to rearrange a lot of things every single time. Then every single time it would require me to wash my hands, and I have a big problem with dry skin, and we were running, it was hot and humid. This was maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but it was hot and humid. We had the air conditioner blasting 24/7. It felt like winter air in here. It was just crazy dry, and my skin was getting cracks very easily, so I just got tired of it. I'm like, forget it. I can do enough stuff that I'm happy with my playing. I'm not highly skilled, but this stuff has helped me quite a bit, so it's good enough for now. And maybe someday I'll try it again. And I've worked on things, and maybe in a couple of years I'll go back to it. But it proved to me for sure, once and for all, that no matter what, the way this natural approach works means blisters are just not possible. I should have had blisters every day, 12 plus hours, working like that, working hard to develop the muscles, not just doing I was really trying, and I was trying to continually do this mindlessly, like, see if I can still, no, I wasn't just taking it easy a lot of the time. I was really trying, and, well, coordination went away. Forget it. The mind has forgotten how to get the hands to do it. But so that was an attempt at a single paradiddle and a double paradiddle, but forget it. I don't want to embarrass myself any more than I just did. So, yeah, I should have, again, I'm sorry to keep repeating it, but it's like, okay, yeah, definitely, now I know for sure, blisters are not going to happen with this approach. Okay, what else is on here? My list of topics. I'm almost done here, actually. Perfect. So, I've told myself in the notes here to demonstrate how I used to do, oh boy, how I used to do I tried to show this, how I got permanently injured here in my elbow. I'll just do it slowly. So my right hand, very slow motion, like a small fraction of the actual speed I was always attempting. I became interested. Here's what happened. I started getting into the Dave Matthews Band because of Carter Beauford. Excuse me. I don't know what happened there. Maybe I got into Carter Beauford because of it was that I got into the Dave Matthews Band because one of my brothers was listening to it a lot, and I got interested. I heard Carter playing these crazy fast single stroke rolls once in a while. And then I saw him doing it in some videos. Then I bought his instructional DVD, quote unquote instructional DVD. It's not exactly instructional in terms of what I was looking for. He's more teaching how he's doing some of the songs, really. But he shows, you can see him rather playing the single strokes really fast, and he actually talked about how much he loves the single stroke roll. So I was idolizing the guy, and I wanted to beat Carter Beauford, and so I started trying to do super fast single strokes, but I didn't know anything about technique yet. So the slow motion version with the left, no help from the wrist or fingers. I'm going to try to make sure it's the same as it used to be. I was probably using this because I had the only instructional video I had seen to that date, I think, was Back to Basics by Dave Weckl. I think I hadn't seen anything else yet. And so he was in that video teaching to hold between the index and thumb, as pretty much that's what was being taught. Until Freddie Gruber started telling everyone, hey, wait a minute, it doesn't have to be done that way. There is a better way. Not that his way he taught was correct and this is incorrect. No, it's just a better way than this. You can play this way if you want. It's up to you. But yeah, it's more work, and yeah. So imagine every note from the elbow on my left arm, while this one's like, it's going la 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 la, no big deal. This one's like, oh, I can't keep up, but I can do it, I think. If I went back to doing this, I can almost feel some pain. So please don't learn the hard way like I did. Yeah. I figured when I discovered this, I was forced into it, when I learned all these things, that I would stop doing what caused the pain and then it would be healed. Little did I know that, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Ow. Okay, that was a bad idea, but okay, whatever. It's not a lot of pain, but I feel something. It's there. It's a little bit of it's a hint. Like, oh, shouldn't have done that. That's fine though. But I thought it would heal by not doing what injured me. Well, like I was gonna say, little did I know that it was actually a permanent injury. So there you go. Don't do what I did. Don't learn the hard way. So let's review a little bit of some of the things I said at the opening of the video. Yes. Let's get ready to end. Finally. This is going to review correct versus incorrect, or right versus wrong. Like I kind of just said, actually. It's not that all other ways are incorrect, or what I can just even say. It's not that what Dave Weckl was teaching in Back to Basics is incorrect, and that Freddie's way of, excuse me please, sorry, and it's not that what Freddie taught was correct and all other things are incorrect. It's just finding ways to move the stick, to get it to do what you want it to do, to produce the sounds that you want in the patterns that you want, and to play the music you want to play. You can play any style of music using this natural approach, but you don't have to use this natural approach, but it's just something I think you would love if you really tried to master it. It has most certainly helped me. It helped Neil Peart so much that his bandmates made a mention about it. I saw a clip, I think it was from one of Neil's instructional videos, but I remember either Geddy or both Geddy and Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson from Rush, talking about how it felt, how it changed after Neil had lessons with Freddie Gruber to play with him. It felt different to him, or them. I think it was just Geddy saying it. I don't remember. But they were thrilled. They loved it. How it felt better. They couldn't really put their finger on it. They couldn't explain it. And I haven't really heard any other things like that. But I have sort of listened to some of Dave Weichel's work before he took lessons with Freddie and compared, and I thought, yeah, you know what? It does have a little bit of a better feel most of the time. But it's more about, it's about everything, not just about one thing or another. It's just about all of this for your benefits, for the benefit of the listener, and yeah, it's not that this is correct and anything else is wrong. So don't think of it that way. And again, the benefits. I should grab a stick so I can reach my buttons to turn the page here when I'm done reading through this little section. The benefits again of what this approach is all about. The first two, it reminded me I forgot to mention something when I was demonstrating, and then asking where am I going to get blisters, and showing that blisters are impossible to get. Also, how would it hurt me? I should have asked that. How do you think that would hurt me? It wouldn't. It's never going to cause an injury. All that natural stuff. I could, remember I was going really, really fast. How is that going to hurt me? So, and in this list, to review the benefits: no blisters, no calluses, no pain, no injuries, less effort, or again, as I typed it out, minimal effort, better sound, a better feel for the listener, and then for yourself too. You'll think everything that you play sounds like it feels better, more musical, and has kind of a better feeling groove to it. The listener will perceive that even easier than you, especially your bandmates. You will stop, or you won't, if you aren't already. You won't dent drum heads. You won't be putting your drums out of tune faster than they really would naturally otherwise. You won't break sticks prematurely, we'll say. They won't, they'll last as long as they should before they break. And you will pretty much eliminate any chance of breaking or cracking your cymbals. And once more, I want you to hear what Steve Smith said in the intro to his instructional DVD. Again, that's called Drumset Technique / History of the US Beat. Good technique transcends style. Though certain techniques are better suited for some styles than others, the underlying principles are the same. A good technique allows you to play in a way where the drumming feels easy, sounds good, and you're not hurting yourself. I thank you very much for watching. and really thank yourself for taking the time to watch something like this, to put in the effort and the work to allow yourself to make it easier to play your musical ideas. That did not sound like I pronounced that correctly. I want to say that again. The word ideas sounded funny to me. So, thank yourself, please, for putting the effort in, taking the time to work on making it easier for yourself to play your musical ideas. This is not about becoming better, because making it easier to play your musical ideas, to express yourself, to say what you want to say, so that there is less in the way, so that there are less obstacles, that's perceived as improving and getting better. And the only person in the entire world that you are in competition with is yourself. Don't be concerned about what level other people are at. Other drummers, I should have said. Don't ever be concerned about what other people think of your skills, unless you are looking for constructive criticism to see if you have see what can be improved. But don't try to do that. It was another way of saying what I think I was going to say. What I think I tried to say there was another way of saying, don't compare yourself to others and say, oh God, they are way better than I am. Oh wow, I suck. Don't do that. It's all you gotta do is just work harder. Push yourself. If you want this skill, you have to go get it. You have to work hard to go get it, to achieve it, to attain it, and to make it a part of you, and to do it. And no one ever told me, no one ever really explained to me what it means that you can only reap what you've sown into your field. You can only reap what you sow. What you plant is what's going to grow, and only grow if you give it water, metaphorically speaking. You can't just learn something and then expect to be able to do it. You can't watch a DVD, an instructional video or something, and then just not practice what's taught and expect to be able to do those things. You have to go through the process. Like Steve Smith demonstrates, when he learns a new fill or something, he will learn how the fill is done. He'll learn everything that he needs to know so that he can get his body to do the motions very, very, very slowly. And he slowly speeds it up, very patiently, until it's automatic. So, I think that's everything I have a lot more I could say, but this is already very, very long. I'm trying to avoid doing an extremely long video, but all my attempts so far have led to videos about this length, so I'm just letting them be long and hoping for a really good take that I don't ever regret any moments in where it's where I feel like doing it over again. I think this one's okay. So again, thank you, and thank yourself for taking the time to really do the work. Yeah. I guess I'll see you around if you're seeing this because you're on Reddit. That's where I'll be. Oh, one last thing. I imagine some of you might be wondering what the OCN stands for in my name. It just stands for overclock.net. That's all. I was there for many, many years, sort of almost made a name for myself over there, and thought when I joined Reddit I should probably make sure I mentioned that in my name so that anyone who's from overclock.net, who is also on Reddit, might say, oh, hey, I know who that is. And I didn't want anyone seeing just 2 cables and going, hey, are you the same one? I don't know. Plus, I later found out that the name just 2 cables is already taken, so it was kind of meant to be, I suppose. Okay, that's enough. I'll see you around. All right. Have fun.